Chapter 6 The Royal Sea Ponies. Before we get started, this is a quick note. I will no longer do point of views unless I have to. Now on to the story. The heroes have now fully rested up and are ready to get some answers from the Queen. Although Sonic was terrified of the water and was relieved of the bubble around his head to breathe, he was slowly getting used to the water. But even with that, he still holds on to his older brother's hand. In about 5 minutes, the boys have made it into a room that almost looks like a living room. Magenta was sitting on an underwater rock with a kind smile. "So good to see you four all rested up. Come now, take a seat." The four had swum over to some rocks and sat down. To their surprise, they were comfy. Quickly, 2 sea critters swam over to the Queen and floated by her sides. One had the face of a baby dragon, but the body of a seahorse. She was pure white with rose-pink hair covering one of her sky-blue eyes. Her fins were rose-pink, and the hearts on all over her body were a rainbow. The bow on the top of her head was hot pink. The other nearly had the face of a baby sheep, but the body of a fish. The little bow on her hair was a bubblegum pink, sprinkled with rainbow hearts, while the rest of her body was a baby pink. Her fins were a bubblegum pink, as well as the heart mark on her left eye. Her eyes were sky blue. "Hello, Bellatrix. Mamie, have you called my children?" Magenta asked sweetly. "Yes, we did, Magenta," the sea critters answered kindly. With a nod, the sea critters remained silent. "Boys, these are Bellatrix and Mamie, my 2 seahorse assistants." The Queen introduced. The boys smiled and waved a hello as a way to greet them. Suddenly, there was laughter coming to the room. In no time, about 11 sea ponies and a little pufferfish entered the room and had taken their seats. Although Frost had his eyes on the Queen, Leo and Sonic, however, had their eyes on 2 of the sea ponies. One was purple with a unicorn horn and wing-like fins on the sides of her body. Her mane and tail were dark bluish violet with 2 streaks of purple and purplish pink. Her eyes were beautiful dark purple. Around her neck was a chain necklace with white tiny stars surrounding a 6-pointed star with 4 white points coming out from behind. The second was orange with no horn or fins. She had blonde hair tied in a ponytail with a bun on the lower part. Her eyes were an apple green, and she had white freckles on the sides of her cheeks. She was trying to keep her brown cowboy hat on her head without it floating off. Her necklace had 3 red apples. The third was soft yellow with a soft pink mane and tail. Her eyes are a turquoise color, and on the sides of her body were wing-like fins, but they weren't like the Queen's or the first ones. They were slimmer and slightly smaller. Her necklace had 3 pink butterflies. Ah, shoot. Hold on, guys, my computer stopped for a moment. You'll have to give me a minute. Okay, guys, sorry about the little silence. I had to restart my computer to get my story back. Anyways, let's continue. Again, sorry about my computer. Where was I? Oh, right. The fourth was a really hyper one. She was brightly pink with a hot pink bouncy mane and tail. Her eyes were a bright sapphire blue, but they looked more like a sky blue than a sapphire. Like the second one, she didn't have a horn or fins. Her necklace had 3 balloons, 1 yellow and 2 blue. The 5th was white like the queen, but it wasn't pure white. She had light blue eyeshadow over her sapphire blue eyes. She had the horn of a unicorn, but no fins on the side of her body. Her mane and tail were a beautiful nightshade of purple and were curled like a fancy mare or woman. Around her necklace had 3 blue diamonds that seemed to glow a bit. The 6th was a soft blue with smaller yet sharper wing like fins on the side of her body. They were like the 3rd one, but they were more pointier. Her mane and tail were rainbow like Magenta's, but they weren't as bright as hers, and they didn't have streaks of pink. Her eyes were a berry pink, and around her neck was a necklace with a white cloud making a red, yellow, and blue lightning bolt. The 7th was a yellowish and gold color with the horn of a unicorn. Her mane and tail were red and yellow like a sunset, and her eyes were beautiful aqua blue. Her necklace had a red and yellow sun mixed together to create some sort of yin-yang or beautiful sunrise. The 8th was also a unicorn. Let me rephrase that. The 8th also had the horn of a unicorn. She was an extremely light purplish pink color with a purple mane and tail with a streak of bluish green. Her eyes were sapphire blue, and her necklace was a pink 4-pointed star like the first one's, but it was only 4-pointed, and it had bluish-green streaks coming from above it. The 9th also had the horn of a unicorn, was much different than the 8th. She was a powder blue, and her mane and tail were a much lighter blue, with a large amount of blue streak in them. Her eyes were an amethyst purple color. Her necklace had a 5-pointed star wand waving blue magic. The 10th was an extreme light agua blue with a sky blue mane and tail with dark blue streaks in them. She looked like a sea pony of an earth pony since she didn't have a horn or wing like fins. Her eyes were a raspberry pink, and her necklace had a raspberry pink heart with a thundering music note. The last one looked familiar to Leo and seemed to be younger than the rest. Her skin was gray with only a tinge of blue. She had no horn or fins. She had dark midnight blue hair and dark green eyes with shadows surrounding them. Around her neck was the same black lock necklace. The little pufferfish that swam with them looked really strange too as it swam towards the first sea pony. He had purple skin with green fins and green dragon-like eyes. Around his chubby body were seeable spikes. "You called for us, Mother?" the first sea pony asks, curiously. Magenta nods yes and uses her hoof to show the sea ponies the 4 heroes. They looked and their eyes widened as saucers. Oh, hold on. Their eyes widened as big as saucers. Sorry. The white sea pony gasped in shock. "Surface dwellers!" she shrieked in a terrified tone. No. They are good surface dwellers. Do not be frightened, children," Magenta soothed gently. They quickly calmed down after that. The queen looks over to the heroes. "These are some of my children, boys," she introduced. "The rest, unfortunately, are gone to my sisters for a while." They all smiled and greeted them, but Leo looked at the 11th sea pony. "You look familiar." "Aren't you this girl I rescued?" When she nodded, Leo's eyes widened in surprise. "Thank you again for saving me," she said in a quiet, soft voice. Magenta seemed shocked and relieved, but she regained her posture. "Boys, allow me to explain and introduce them," she offered. With a nod, Magenta smiled and looked at her daughters. She cleared her throat and began to explain. "We are sea ponies, underwater ponies with the bodies of fish. Each sea pony wears a necklace around their necks, holding a magical crystal or symbol that can change them into hippogriffs on land. Hippogriffs used to live on land until a terrible storm king attacked, causing them to flee into the water, where they changed from hippogriff to sea pony. This colony was once ruled by the original queen Novo, along with her daughter Princess Skystar. But one day, however..." Magenta paused as a sudden memory came into her mind. What happened to them?" Ace asked. Magenta calmed herself and continued explaining. "My friends, sisters, brother, and I found them, turned to stone made from sea foam. I was an alicorn back then, a pony with the horn of a unicorn, wings of a pegasus, and the body of an earth pony. I was born with the ability to change into a sea pony, alicorn, human, a bat pony, and more. After I discovered them, I had placed them somewhere safe so nobody could disturb them until I find a way to revive them. As for the meantime, I've become the Sea Pony Queen while the rest of my group decided to return to the surface. Ever since then, I found out the royal sea ponies were stone. I swore on my life I'd keep the sea ponies' existence and Sequestria a secret so nobody would come and hunt us." When she finished, the heroes were surprised. "Have you returned to the surface once in a while?" Sonic asked curiously. Magenta was taken back by this question and looks down. The first sea pony seems to notice this and swims in front of her. "Why don't we introduce ourselves, from oldest to youngest?" she suggested. With a nod, Magenta and the first sea pony sighed in relief. "This is my eldest daughter, Twilight Sparkle," Magenta introduced. Twilight smiles and her eyes light upon Leo as a blush rises up in her cheeks. "Pleased to meet you," she said. Then there is Sunset Shimmer. "Greetings," the red and yellow unicorn sea pony greets. Twins Starlight Glimmer and Trixie Lulamoon. "Nice to meet you, surface dwellers," they said together with smiles. And Rarity, "Pleasure to meet you, darlings," the white unicorn sea pony greets. Twilight is my eldest daughter, and the other unicorn sea ponies are still the oldest, yet younger than Twilight, Magenta explains, as Twilight and the unicorns swim back to show the rest. My Pegasi sea ponies are the middle sisters, Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy. "Aw, yeah! It's so cool meeting creatures from the surface!" the blue Pegasus sea pony, Rainbow Dash, exclaimed. "It certainly is nice to meet other creatures," the yellow sea pony, Fluttershy, said softly. Finally, my earth ponies are the youngest. Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Sonata Dusk, and the one you rescued, Leo, is Obsidian Pie. When Magenta finished introducing, the little pufferfish suddenly puffed up, making his spikes stand up. "Oh, and that's Spike, the pufferfish, Twilight's assistant and best friend," Magenta responded. Spike quickly deflated and smiled. "Nice to meet you," he responded. The heroes smiled and bowed to greet them, making them all blush nervously, except Magenta. But seeing Nathan was making her blush a little bit, yet it was barely noticeable. "I am Hamato Leonardo, but you can call me Leo for short," he said with a smile. Twilight blushes a bit and smiles. "Pleasure to meet you, Leo," she replies. Both of them blush nervously and look away to avoid their gaze, yet they couldn't help it. "I'm Ace Bunny, a friend of Lexi Bunny. Ace went next. He begins to blush as well as Lexi, yet they decided to avoid their gaze and keep calm. I'm Frost the Ice Hog, and this is my younger brother, Sonic, Frost introduced with a smile. Sonic smiles and starts to blush when his eyes laid on Rainbow Dash. Nice to meet you, Rainbow says nervously as she rubs her left arm. Magenta blushes when she looks at Nathan, but she remains calm. If you all have the energy, I could send my daughters out to show you around Sequestria if you like, the Queen offers. With a final nod, the Queen nods and gestures everyone to leave, but motions Frost to stay. What could she want him for? Okay, that was chapter 6. I hope you guys like it. This is a disclaimer. Leonardo Hamato belongs to Mirage Studios and Nickelodeon. Ace Bunny and Lexi Bunny belong to Warner Brothers' Lunatics Unleashed. Sonic the Hedgehog belongs to Sega. Frost the Ice Hog belongs to Nathaniel Knox Frost 207. Twilight Sparkle, Applejack, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Sunset Shimmer, Starlight Glimmer, Trixie Lula Moon, Sonata Dusk, and Spike belong to Hasbro. And owner of Obsidian Pie, please don't hate me. Obsidian Pie belongs to Rihanna Saishin. I'm so sorry, Rihanna. I wanted to create my own Obsidian Pie, except she's a little different than yours original. Please do not hate me. I'm so sorry. Anyways, and Magenta, Bellatrix, and Mamie belong to me. Again, I'm so sorry, Reina. Well, anyways, that's the disclaimer. I will read chapter 7 then in the next video. As long as Reina Station is not mad at me. Please forgive me, Reina. I'm so sorry. I will see you guys possibly in the next video. Maybe. Bye, guys.